the Sigillum Dei Aemeth. 7. Rest in 7, and the 7. Live by 7, the 7. Govern the 7, and by 7 all government is. The design of the Sigillum Dei Aemeth is perhaps the most recognizable image of enochian magic. It is a powerful magical device, alive with the angelic forces of an ordered universe in which 7, rest in 7, and the 7, live by 7, the 7, govern the 7, and by 7 all government is. Unlike the hierarchies of the layman and the holy table, the Sigillum's hierarchy of angels was not condensed, distilled, or otherwise generated from the 712x7 tables from which the names of the 49 good angels were drawn. The Sigillum itself was a disc 9 inches in diameter and approximately 1.5 inches thick. It was made of pure beeswax and placed in the center of the holy table. The scrying crystal, or black mirror, was placed upon it. 4 smaller wax versions were placed beneath small boxes, upon which stood the 4 legs of the holy table. Dee was first told to simply copy the design from a book he already had in his library. But Dee had at least 2 volume 62 that contained designs for Sigilla. He couldn't make up his mind which one to use, so he asked for further clarification. It is clear to me that the construction of the Sigillum was a vital step in Dee and Kelley's preparation program, and that construction can serve that same important purpose to the modern magician as well. I'm going to walk you through the steps of how it is constructed, because I hope readers who are serious about actually doing magic, rather than merely studying it, will want to build their own. Enlarge it, if you wish, to 9 inches in diameter. Then follow the step-by-step instructions. As you do, you will not only be building this magical device on paper, but you'll also be installing it inside yourself. Constructing your own Sigillum Dei Aemeth is the fastest and easiest way I know to meet and connect with the angelic forces resident in the design, and make them part of you. It may take you several tries to get it all right, but I'm confident when you have completed your Sigillum you will think it worth the effort. Building the Sigillum. Step 1. The 7 god names. The 7 god names were drawn from numbers and letters that appear in the 40 cells that make up the perimeter of the Sigillum. The magicians were told to divide the outer perimeter of a blank ring into 4 sections. Then they were to divide each of the 4 sections into 10. In this vision, 40 angels stepped forth, one at a time, and parted their garments to reveal one of 3 things. A number positioned above a letter positioned above a number, or a single letter. Some of the letters were capitalized, but most were lowercase. As they revealed their letters and numbers, each of the 40 angels also uttered a different pious declaration in Latin, such as, O God, God, our God, blessed are you, now and forever, and you are true in your works. Then the angel disappeared or was consumed in flashes of fire or other such dramatics. The magicians were then left with a string of numbers and letters, which I've arranged in a table. Figure 22. Outer perimeter parkour. First, make sure your blank Sigillum is oriented so that the pentagram in the center is pointing toward the top of the page. Then refer to figure 23 and locate the topmost cell of the sigillum's outer perimeter, the cell that contains the number 4 over the capital letter T. Fill in that cell with a 4 over a T. Then, referring to the table and moving clockwise, fill in the remaining 39 cells of the outer perimeter of your blank sigillum as you see them in figure 23. From those starting points, note the number inside the cell and count your way to find the next letter in the god name. You count clockwise when the number in the cell is positioned above the letter, and you count counterclockwise when the letter is positioned above the number. Keep counting until you reach a cell that contains a letter but no number. That will be the last letter of that particular god name. It's almost like turning the dial of a combination lock, and, indeed, that's exactly what you're doing. Confused? Don't be. It's much easier to actually do it than describe it. Just keep figure 23 in front of you as you follow the directions that follow. Count 8 cells clockwise to the single letter S. Because there is no number assigned to the S cell, we know that S is the final letter to this god name. When all the counting is done, we have spelled the god name Galas. The Archangel Michael would later advise Dee and Kelley to alter the spelling to Galas. Starting with 7G, count 7 cells clockwise to E21. Count 21 cells counterclockwise to T9. Count 9 cells counterclockwise to H14. Count 14 cells counterclockwise to the unnumbered letters of to finish the god name Gethog. Michael assigned Gethog the sigil and number shown in figure 25 and instructed that they should be placed on the sigillum in the area between the perimeter of cells and the outer bar of the heptagon at approximately 9 o'clock. Starting with 15, I count 15 cells clockwise to 7N. Count 7 cells clockwise to 14N. Count 14 cells clockwise to 08. Count 8 cells counterclockwise to the single letter N, producing the name Enon. Michael assigned Enon the sigil and number shown in figure 28 and instructed that they should be placed on the sigillum in the area between the perimeter of cells and the outer bar of the heptagon at approximately 4 o'clock. Although a connection is not mentioned overtly in the original material, the god name Enon and its sigil are generally considered by many modern enochian magicians to be associated with the Kabbalistic planetary sphere of Venus. With Oth, you have your choice of either starting at 11 and counting 11 cells clockwise to a 5 or starting with 6 and counting 6 cells clockwise to a 5. In either case, once you get to a 5, count 5 cells counterclockwise to O10. Count 10 cells counterclockwise to T11. Count 11 cells counterclockwise to finish at H, producing the god name Oth. Starting at 5G, count 5 cells clockwise to a 24. Count 24 cells counterclockwise to L30. Count 30 cells counterclockwise to E21. Count 21 cells counterclockwise to T9. Count 9 cells counterclockwise to H14. Count 14 cells counterclockwise to the single letters of, producing the name Galithark. Starting with H12, count 12 cells counterclockwise to 22O. Count 22 cells clockwise to R16. Count 16 cells counterclockwise to 26L. Count 26 cells clockwise to 60. 63 count 6 cells clockwise to single letter N, producing the god name Holon. These 7 god names Galas, Gethog, Theoth, Holon, Inon, Oth, and Galithog are distilled into one supreme name. Strangely enough, the great name is also spelled Galithog. The code that reveals this distillation can be found on those little numbers that appear beside 6 of the sigils of the god names. Let's take a look at the supreme god name as it appears with the sigils. Obviously, the sigils of the divine names contain the stylized letters G, A, L, Z, T, and Og. The little numbers beside the letters point out 7 landmarks among the 40 cells: 5G, A24, L30, E21, T9. Og has no number attached to it, confirming that it is the end of the supreme god name.